Incomplete, caught up in a cloud of self-defeat. Just going through the motions again, wondering when my ship was coming in. Inside a voice of what's bringing you down. You convince yourself there's no way out. Are you looking for someone to blame? Blind to the part you play in this game. Say you want a better life, you better believe it. Good fortune is on your side, you better believe it. A love that fills you up inside makes you feel alive. If you want to change, start with your mind. You better believe it. I thought what you see is what you get, but there's a line that helped me to forget. My life designed by no one else, so now it is time I told myself. Say you want a better life, you better believe it. Good fortune on your side, you better believe it. A love that fills you up inside, makes you feel alive. If you want to change, you start with your mind. Tell a story about it, excuses about it. Now what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Oh, you say you want a better life, better believe it. Fortune on your side, you say you want a better life, better believe it, better believe it. Fortune on your side, better believe it. A love that fills you up inside, and it makes you feel alive. If you wanna change, start with your mind. If you wanna change, start with your mind. If you wanna change, start with your mind. You better believe it.
Good morning. Good morning. I have some really good news. My 2 houses that have been available for some time now, about 8 months, got rented this week. The bluebirds are gorgeous in them. They came with no furniture, and now there's furniture in there. They're clearly having sex every night. It's very quiet and the house is shaking. So I know little bluebirds are coming soon, so that's a beautiful thing in my neighborhood. So just thought I'd share some good news. They've been empty. We've been praying, much like the song said. So then I realized I have to visualize it. I have to see the bluebirds and them not being bothered by us being so close and the dog. And so once in a while they get a little fluttered, but generally speaking, they're coming in and going. It's all good. Just saying. All right. Our daily prayer today, the daily word. How many of you have a subscription to the daily word? Oh, we need a lot more hands than that. A whole lot more. Get yourself a subscription. It's really inexpensive. It's 64% off the price, $16.95. Send me 6 issues, 1 year for only $16.95, and I get a free gift. So it's really inexpensive, $17 a year. And Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m., we have a daily word reading and meditation time through our Zoom. So if you want to sit with folks at 7 o'clock in the morning, you read the daily word, and then it's 15 minutes of silence. So it gives you that element of support for being within that moment and to hear that still small voice. So good stuff. Today's dominion is our word. I claim dominion and direct the course of my life. So I invite you to just get still so you can go with me through this daily word today. I claim dominion and direct the course of my life. While I may not be able to control what happens in my life, I am always free to determine how I will respond. Through my divine faculty of dominion, I decide what to think, what to say, and how to act. If a thought or fear or powerlessness arises, I remember all the wisdom, understanding, and strength of God are within me. Whether I'm organizing my day or moving forward after making a life-altering decision, the principle of dominion is always mine to claim. Knowing this, I move through life with quiet confidence. I am secure in myself and in the knowledge I am a divine being. I claim dominion and feel my life expand into a field of limitless possibilities and potential. In Psalms 8:6 reads, "You have given them dominion over the works of your hands, and you have put all things under their feet." And so it is. Amen. Thank you for that. And now please join us together as we sing together, "Times Are A-Changin'," with our own Donna Fraley.
Different version. Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown. And accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If good time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming. You'll sink like a stone, for the times, they are a-changin'. Mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out the new one if you can't lend your hand, for the times, they are a-changin'. For the times, they are a-changin'. It is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be fast, and the present now will later be the past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last, for the times, they are a-changin'. Aren't they? For the times, they are a-changin'. For the times, they are a-changin'.
Hello. It's now March. The power for the month of March is wisdom. And it's associated with the disciple James, who is the son of Zebedee. The color is yellow. The area associated with wisdom is in the pit of the stomach. The wisdom is the ability to evaluate, discern, and apply what you know. The affirmation, if you'd like to say it with me: divine wisdom guides me, and I am led to my highest good. At the annual meeting, we all decided to continue with the fundraising for the sound system, since we're not quite there yet. So hoping any of you would have some fun ideas and are willing to head up an event to request a social activity information sheet from the office, from Tracy, and help us get going. What's better than to have fun and fundraise at the same time? We like to have fun. Our next community membership orientation will be held right after the service next Sunday, March 12th. This typically lasts approximately 15 minutes. Anyone interested in learning about becoming a member is welcome to attend. Those of you who are looking to join a special Sacred Service volunteer team, touch base with Mo as soon as possible and see where you might best fit in. Take a look at the various opportunities. Something might call you. All congregants are welcome. And in my experience, joining a team gives you a feeling of belonging, of community, and of ownership. Find somewhere. We'd all like to get to know you. Mark your calendars for April 7th. It's a special Good Friday and prayer meditation service, and it's of the last 7 statements of Jesus on the cross. I'm currently in a spirit group, and for our service project, we chose to work with the Sumter County Humane Society. There's so much need for the dogs and cats in our area. The Humane Society provides adoption opportunities, but there's also things like neutering, spade, that the dogs also need, and other health cares. In the meantime, before they get adopted and while they're there, there's a continuous need for basic care items: food, towels, blankets, harnesses, collars, leashes, and toys. So if you have any of these around and care to donate, please do. If you're out shopping, there's a list. The bin is in the narthex. There's a list there. There's specific food requests and some things you might want to take a look at it. So from those in my spirit group, we thank you very much for any and all of your donations. At the back of the sanctuary on the ledge is the prayer box, and you'll find prayer slips and pens for your request. After the service today, the prayer slips will be picked up by the chaplain of the day, which is Jeff Whitman. The chaplains will pray over the prayer slips, and then they're sent to Silent Unity for an additional 30 days of prayer. Unity believes in the power of affirmative prayer. When completing the slips, we invite you to affirm what you want more of in your life, rather than focus on the issue. For example, if you're not feeling well, you want to feel better, you might affirm perfect healing and health for your body. When you feel overwhelmed with too much to do, we might affirm clarity or seeing things in a new light. What we give our attention to is what grows. So we might as well affirm what we want. Less emphasis on the problem or situation. There's also an opportunity at the end of the service to have a prayer chaplain pray individually with anyone who would like to. The available chaplains will be up front here after the service, and they're wearing the purple stoles. Thank you. Oh, did I forget? Did I do Good Friday? I did. It's a special Good Friday. Come.
This is time in our service where we get to tune in to that source that we like to call God, intuition, spirit, the Christ, whatever synonym you want to use with it. I just invite you now to close out the outer world and allow yourselves to be in this moment, not someplace else in our minds. And I would invite you to let the chair support you. You can droop your shoulders, you can put your feet on the ground, you can put your palms on your lap, and just be open and receptive to being in the stillness just long enough so that we can hear that still small voice of God. And if our minds seem to be racing back into what you might be doing or what you've done, visualize a 6-burner stove. And in the back is a pot of boiling water. And you just slip that thought into the boiling water. And you say, be done with you. I'm here to hear the still small voice of God. So we let that pot boil as we allow ourselves to just tune in. Tune in, just like turning on a TV set. You have to hit that button to tune in. So let's hit that button of the stillness within us so that we can tune in to God. As we take a breath, a conscious breath, we breathe in the qualities of God: stillness, calmness, love, connectedness. We breathe it in. And as we exhale, we let go of all that no longer serves us. And so as we let go, we leave space for something else to take its place. And let that be something positive in your life. Something that moves you to a closer relationship with God. A connectedness. For we have the ability to connect our thoughts to all that we have in our life. Choose to connect in a positive way. Deny that which no longer serves you and breathe in the many possibilities with God. The possibilities are limitless. So let us move away from our human mind and walk into the Christ mind. That part of us that guides us, that moves us, that enhances our ability to be connected with God. And through this opportunity to be still, it further allows us to hear the guidance of God and to know that there is no place that God is not, including in our thoughts, including in our actions, including in the way we walk and where we're walking to. God is with us. So in any doubt, any uncertainty, we can open our minds and our hearts to the loving care of God. For it is innate in God to love. And God freely gives us that love with no strings attached. You do not need to come from, go to, or be. You simply can receive the love of God. So we open our hearts to that possibility of infilling our heart with the love of God. So I invite you now to go into the silence and ask, what is it I should let go of? What is it that no longer serves me? Guide me into letting that go so that I have room for more of the limitless power of God. Ever so gently, we bring ourselves back to this moment and time of now, and in our own way, give gratitude for this opportunity to just be still. And so it is. Amen.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. So I turn up my collar on my favorite winter coat. This wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the way, you know, 'cause I got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If they want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize that there are some with no home, not a nickel to loan. Could it be, really be, pretending that they're not alone? A willow deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart in a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, 'cause they've got no place to be. That's why I'm asking with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could be any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. I'm starting with that. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could be any clearer. If you want to make a world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make the change. You gotta get it right while you got the time. 'Cause when you close your heart, then you close your mind. You close your mind. You close your mind. You gotta take a look at yourself. You gotta make the change. You gotta get it right while you got the time. Make the time.
I thought of Hector right there. Yeah, that's a nice shout out to Hector. Yeah, hey Hector. He was our pianist for many, many years, and he has since moved on to his next realm. So God bless you, Hector. Yeah. So, today is Christ in You, Keep a True Lent book, chapter 4. If you're following along, knock at it. It's only 4.5 pages long, the chapter, and I'm going to do a 20-minute talk on the first 4 paragraphs, because I can, you know? You know, in my home church, we did very little beyond Fillmore when we taught classes, the Sunday worship service. We did some Emily Cady and Butterworth, but predominantly it was all about Fillmore. And I never heard until I left the church that Fillmore was hard to understand. I'm like, what? That's not hard. What are they talking about? And I learned that you just read one paragraph at a time and go, what did I just read? And then you interpret it in your own words and you move on to the next paragraph. And before you know it, you've got a clarity that applies to you, and then you get to decide how you want to make that information. So that's how I read Fillmore, and I still do. And when I got the privilege of being a full-time RVer, I didn't want to get away from Fillmore, because, you know, when you get out into the real world and start living day to day, Fillmore, who? And I didn't want that to happen. So with my less dominant hand, I rewrote on a book, the Prosperity book by Charles Fillmore. Did a chapter a day. It took me about an hour and a half every day to do it. Once a week. And wow, when you use the less dominant hand, the mind has to think. What did you just write? It doesn't become automatic at all. So if you're ever wanting to be infilled with a new concept in your mind, especially something that you're familiar with, try writing it out in your less dominant hand. Even if you just read a paragraph and then go, what did I read? And write that down. Because it shifts the brain. It shifts the brain, and it's an amazing exercise of utility, because you can't even read what you're writing sometimes, and that's okay. It's not for anybody else to read. It's for you to put it in there. The visualization, the whole sensory experience takes place, which is awesome. So chapter 4 is entitled Christ in You. And before I could do this with you folks, I needed to do a couple of terms. So for lack of time, the word God, you can transpose that into anything you want. Spirit, intuition, divine, within, whatever you want, Mother, Father, God, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. But there's an entity higher than us. Make sense? And so it lives within us. And what propels us to seek out more understanding, more connection with this entity within us is God. We are gently being pushed to learn more, be more, express more. Every one of us here made a decision one day and go, you know, I got to figure this stuff out. What is all this? And we opened our eyes and our hearts and we walked in. And we said, yeah, I want more of that. Am I right? How many of you that felt? Let's do a show of hands, because it's a big deal. This is how we grow, by following what's going on in here. That's God. The second definition is Jesus, right? We're a Christ-based church. We're a Jesus Christ-based church, right? We teach from the Bible, and we're all about Jesus, but not quite the way that some of us may have been raised, but we believe that Jesus, the man, in a body form, figured it out and came to teach us and help us. And I firmly believe that what he did is totally achievable by us. Whether it's lifting a car with 2 hands to remove a body underneath it so that someone lives, that power. Whether it's turning water into wine, whether it's feeding the 5,000, whether it's raising the dead, it doesn't matter. What he exemplified was the possibility that within us, when we change our minds about how we can't do it and embrace the fact that we can do it, now you just got to figure out how. Hence wisdom. Wisdom is the power of the month, and wisdom says, if you seek wisdom, I will guide you. So when we don't know how to do it, we seek out the wisdom and guidance of God. So Jesus was the way shower. That's how I view it. Then the third term is Christ. Now here's the fun part, because Jesus is also known as Jesus Christ, right? Well, wait a second. Because Jesus had three names: Jesus, Jesus Christ, and Christ. So the Christ within us is the Jesus human form exemplified within us. It resides within us. The revealing word, it's a good one. Keep this handy. Get this book, The Revealing Word. Christ is kind of 3 pages in here, you think? You know, it's like one of those words, right? So I'm just going to share just a little bit. Christ is the divine man. The divine man. He's the human part of us that has and understands and knows that I have that capacity within me with which to do whatever it is I need to do. Jesus is the name that represents the individual expression of the Christ idea. Now remember from last week, and if you weren't here last week, get on YouTube and watch the talk, because the thinker is first, then the thought, then the action. Mind, idea, expression. And this is important because the Christ idea is supplanted within us that allows us to understand that the principle of law says we control everything. We don't like to hear that because we don't like sometimes what we see. We like to do the blame game or the victim game or the perpetrator game, anything to not take responsibility for what's going on in our lives. Because that means I'm responsible for what? I didn't do that. Now, the trick is to take responsibility without blame, without beating ourselves up, just an awareness. Oh, I might have had something to do with that. Then I get to choose to do it differently. That's the daily word today, is about dominion over our thoughts. And the Christ idea within us is the constant reminder that we can be better. We can do more. We can express more. That's that urge that we just can't get away from. You know, most of us are living in retirement land, right? Go play golf and play all day long, and and I have a lot of people in my life that do just that. I can't do it. I'm like, it annoys me because I can't stop learning. I wake up some days, today was one of them. Church, that's right, I go to church today. That's right. I don't mind being here. It's not like that. It has more to do with I'm not done. And that annoys me because I want to be done. And you're never done. You're never done. And so I can't go off into the sunset. As much as I love watching the sunset and the sunrise every day, I can't go there. Because I know if I choose to do that, my cells in my body will stop regenerating. Because I won't be living my true life. When you don't live your true life, the cells have no place to go and they die. They don't rejuvenate. So the point of this chapter is that Charles Fillmore is reminding us in no uncertain terms that you control your thoughts. And how you choose to control those thoughts is how you understand God, Christ, and Jesus within you. So if Jesus is the way shower, and the Christ within us is that impetus that's constantly pushing us into the truth of who we are, which is an unlimited, supplanted experience of God. That's who we are. And we forget that because we go off and do these other things, these sense things, I always like to mess with people. Oh, can you smell that? They're making popcorn in the kitchen today. Is that not rude? Can you smell the popcorn? It's buttered. See, it's false. There is no popcorn. So that's how wicked our minds are. Because we can smell it, we can taste it, and yet it's false. But the Christ within us is never false. It's always real. Charles Fillmore tells us, all inventions are first pictured in the mind of the inventor. Right? You know, John F. Kennedy said, let's get to the moon, boys, let's do this. Of course, it was women that did it, but that's okay. So we form a mental picture of everything we conceive, and our conception of God is no exception. We do not see persons and things as we think we see them. What we see is our own conception of them. So it's back to when somebody does something that is hurtful to us, we get to choose how we want to see that. I shared with someone last week, they were having an issue with somebody, and they said, I don't know what to do. I said, oh, it's so simple. Just tell them I love you, right while they're saying all that spewy stuff. They won't know what to do. They'll be flabbergasted. Because it takes two to tango, right? Yeah. We have to remember that. So what we hear, sensory-wise, we get to choose how we want to do it. Because we've created God in our own image. For many of us, it's an entity of a man with a white beard up in the clouds. Not to you, yeah, to you. And that's okay, because that brought us to an awareness that we choose not to think of that as God. Because what unity teaches, and they're very clear on this message, God is within. Do you see this? This is important for us to always remember that, because it's very subtle when we go and we say things like, Hector? Really? You think Hector's up there? But it was an automatic response. It's a habit. You know, you watch sports and they, that was good. Right? Who are they praying to? Who are they being grateful for? Something outside themselves. That's why gratitude is so important, because it has to come within. You know, constantly being grateful. How many of you have been grateful for your digestive system lately? Me too. I got the best digestive system in the world. It's the little things. Being grateful is how we create our world, how we create what happens around us. Who enters that private space? Who is excluded from the private space? That's yours. That's yours. And it's up to us to form an image of God that does not have human qualities. And the reason we want to do that is because that limits God when we put hair and form on God, because there is no form with God. If God is residing within each of us, within every core of our being resides an aspect of God, then we certainly can't put hair on it or arms and legs. It's us in our minds creating that image when that image is false. And that's very critical for us to understand that the image we make of God is how we view the Christ within. We have to view Christ within as that push and pull of moving forward. And if we put God in a human form, it limits our ability to move forward. It puts God in a form that says yes or no or maybe, and you're bad, you're good, and you're going to heaven and you're going to hell, and oh, no. Stay away from that thinking. It's not the truth of who you are, and the Christ knows the truth of who you are. And that's the part that pushes us to a clearer understanding of where I want to be, how I want to be impacted, who I want to serve. We talk about sacred service, which was one of our announcements today. And, you know, we're, in the world of agreement on church size, we're still family size, which means there's an entity somewhat like a mom, pop kind of thing. You know, I need mommy's permission to do this, or I can't do this without dad, you know? And if you can't get a yes from one, you go to the other, you know? And you can ask Joan, the board member, because they'll go to her first, because she's a little less than me. And what does Joan say? You go talk to Mo. Because, so as we grow in our spiritual understanding and in our general size, more and more people are asked to step up to be in service because there's more that gets to be done. You know? So as we move our consciousness from receivership into ownership, it changes the way we operate within our core. It changes our understanding of the Christ within. You see? Because when we're in receivership, it's okay to be in that place. But at some point, you go into ownership where you make sure that someone else can receive. See? And that changes, and the way we do that is through sacred service. Someone asked me a very valid question. What's sacred service? We give with no strings attached. Sacred service. Volunteers, I'll give as long as you give me accolades from up here that I did it, as long as you send me a thank you note once in a while, otherwise I'll get disgruntled and won't serve anymore. How many of us have ever done that? I have. And couldn't figure out why I never got it. Sacred service. There's lots that we have in our ministry that needs a little poofing up. Bookstores always looking for those of you that love to read, because somebody walks in and says, you know, I'm looking for something about affirmations and denials. Boom, I know a book just perfect for you. Need a little help in that. You know, we need a little help in fellowship on Sunday mornings. We like our cookies and crackers, right? Right? Well, somebody has to put them out. Right? And Tracy and I, when COVID was over and we opened up our doors, she jumped into the kitchen and I went, no, don't do it. And she went in anyway. I told her not to. She went in anyway. And now she's stuck there every Sunday. And I said, if the congregation wants coffee, someone will make it. Tracy's making it. So I'd love to relieve Tracy of making coffee. It's getting there. But we have 4 or 5 Sundays a month, and we need different teams to do things so that the new people, those first-timers, can walk into the fellowship room, get a cup of coffee, and sit down. That's giving back. Sacred service. So there's a whole bunch of ways that you can serve, and that allows us to reinvent ourselves into being even more of a spiritual home than we already are. Because we have people in places that they enjoy being in and are smiley-faced. And don't get up in the morning going, oh yeah, I'm the minister. I have to go to work today. Yeah, all right. I don't do that, guys. I jump out of bed. Today's a good day. So keep it true Lent. Chapter 4 is Christ in you and Revealing Word, both two good assets to add to your library. And your homework is really, really simple in the context of ask wisdom within you, that Christ element of you, to see how you can be in sacred service to this ministry. And then jump in. You will have fun. If it's not where you belong, you go, okay, that's not where I belong, and go try something else. Nothing wrong with that. Just keep your agreements, show up, be who you are, and God is good. So it's easy peasy. And see, here's the thing, and I'll get off of it. We have a group of people here who've been here a while, years and years, right? Sometimes I refer to them as the elderberries. Not their age, just how long they've been here. Then there's the newbies, the ones that just recently walked in, less than 2 years old, that kind of thing. Well, these elderberries have been serving and serving and serving. All during COVID they served, before COVID, and they might just be a tad tired. So it's time for the newbies to step up, because I'm pretty sure if you want a position or you want to do something that an elderberry is doing, they will kiss you and hug you and see you next week. They don't have a problem with it. People in the sound booth, you got a little techie brain, or at least can absorb information, because that's what it is. It's absorbing information up there. If you can absorb it, we got a spot for you. These two folks, Stormy as well. Jackie finally showed up, and you know who Jackie is? Jackie Quinn, right? Boy, she walked in the door and said, "Oh, I can do that." So Stormy got relief, because he was here every single Sunday. These two in the sound booth, Tina and Jim, every single Sunday, without fail. Huge, huge. Thank you. But they would love a Sunday off. They would. They would, I know it. So if you're willing to learn a little bit of techie stuff, because we'll teach it. We'll teach you. So your homework is to consider how you can serve in a sacred service way. Ask wisdom, go within, and see if there's a place for you so that Christ's light within you can be seen by everybody. God bless. So it is. Amen. Now's the time in our service for our love offering. We see these gifts that you are so bountifully about to join in our church. We see those gifts multiplying in ways beyond our imagination. Let us affirm our offertory prayer together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. And now affirm with us together our offertory blessing, but this time using the pronouns us and we together. Divine love, as us, blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. And thank you so much. I haven't given a center update in quite a few months, just because of life. But so this will be the third time I've given Moving the Needle. And it happens only once a year. So I did it in 21, 22, and now 2023. And it is our way of ensuring that you folks know where we are in our quest to have ownership of our financial affairs as well as everything else that's happening in our community. So I wanted you to be aware of it, and that's why. So we're moving the needle is the objective. We are in a program called Mission-Centric Ministry. Sometimes you might hear it called the Integral Ministry practice. The objective is to move from the minister controlling the church. Now, there's still some aspects that the minister must continue to do. The Sunday worship service is one of those. But pretty much, when we are in total ownership, the minister is providing the spiritual growth of the community and pretty much nothing else. How cool is that? If all I had to do was provide the spiritual aspect of this ministry, hot dogs, you guys it would be magic. But I have all these other responsibilities where we shift ourselves into a concept of mission. Part of this is being 100% automatically funded. One of the issues for church is we have 3 congregation cultures. C is those folks that are new with us today. They don't know what they're getting into. God bless them for coming and exploring. And sometimes they'll come back second, third, or fourth time. And sometimes they're here for a very, very long time, come in on Sunday mornings and leave on Sunday mornings, and we don't see here or hear of them. And they might put a $5 in on their Sundays that they're here. Nothing wrong with that. We love those $5. That's congregation C. Congregation B, though, is, and here it is for 20% that provide 80% of the resources needed. So if you have 100 people, 20 of those are doing 80% of the work, including the financial support. That no longer sustains ministry. It has been proven, especially with the pandemic, when people come back, it will not work. 80% from 20% of the people. It doesn't work. One of the biggest hiccups that churches have is we have no idea what's going to happen week to week. We do not know. I may suck one week, and you guys go, $5 is all I'm giving. I was going to give 20, but she sucked today. That would be minister-centric, right? Happens. You know, and so we're moving congregation C into a place of ownership. We're moving C into B, because B is where the service takes place, the sacred service folks. So C is those that are going to attend next week's community membership orientation. They're on the cusp. They're like, hey, what's it take? I wouldn't mind being a member. You guys seem like cool people. What does it take? And you learn about it. And we move C into B, because in order to be a community member here, one of the 3 yeses that you say yes to is being in service. So it moves you from C into B, which moves us from 2080, we're about 50-50 right now. 50% of the resources are provided by 50% of the people. In that 50% are 45 elderberries, 5% new people. And so we have to shift that, because what happens to elderberries? I'm sorry, but it does. It's just the nature of it, right? So when 2 people walk in, we hope that only 1 leaves. And may it be a congregant C, not a B or an A person. You see? So this is important. Moving through this, the minister and board is considered congregation A, and those in direct leadership roles, like head of the ushers or the ministry heads, they're an A. And then what we're moving, this congregation C has got to shift. That's the sustainability that we're learning. That's what's going to ensure us to be here 2, 3, 4 years from now. It's important. We don't want that revolving door, right? And I say this every year, but boy, it was such an impact in my brain. A congregant and I sat down on the floor in my office within the first 3 or 4 months of me coming here, and we started counting all of the new orientation cards that you folks filled out today that are here for the first time. You know that new card? And we looked at them. There were over 300 of those cards. 5 were still here. That's a lot of revolving door. Not true today. Tracy will have to do that. We'll pull out the cards, and I'll report next year what it is. We'll do that before I do that. But what is our success rate now with people coming in? I think it's a little higher. I think we're in the 30% range of those coming in and are staying. Nothing wrong with that. That changes things. Yeah. But this is the culprit. This is why ministries are closing. You know? And we have to ask ourselves, if so many people are coming through the front door, why aren't they staying? What's the gig? I did my part. I invited all my neighbors and nobody came back. Why? We don't experience that now. Why? Because the energy, the consciousness. The front door experience is very different than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Because people are in sacred service. People know when you're in service because you're supposed to, or when you're in service because you love to. Big difference. Moving from a tithing-based funding model to a spiritual cooperative funding. How many of us were taught to tithe to the source of our spiritual growth? Right? Yeah. Continue to tithe. As we move forward, releasing the minister, and we move toward 100% ownership, we start to find ourselves being able to give in a way that is beyond what we've received because you've already received it, and now you're giving back. Different mindset. I'm not saying the tithing doesn't work. It's just a different model of funding a spiritual community. So this funding model, holding up the mirror. Those of you who were at the annual meeting a couple weeks back, our budget for 2023 is $167,000, less than our budget was last year, but we didn't make that budget. So we had to decrease our expectation of income. And that's always the problem with church. We don't know what's going to happen year to year. And yet, we're asked to predict. How do we do this? It is a guessing game. And it's creepy and it doesn't feel right because we don't know what's going to happen, like a pandemic, right? So 167,000 needs to come from 120 people. I counted how many people were consistent givers last year. Didn't matter how much, just 120 people. 120 people came up. I'll take that. It was 90 the year before. So it's an increase. So 20 people. This works out to 116 each month per adult as the spiritual cooperative share. It went down. Our spiritual cooperative share last year was $145, I believe. Now it's at 116. What? Don't anybody change your giving. That is not what you heard. That would be irresponsible for me. Those of you that are already giving 140 or more, please continue to do that. But those of you that are coming into the ministry, your spiritual cooperative is now $116. If 120 people gave $116 every month, we would have our budget of $167,000. Do you want that? I hope so. You know, we don't want to just be in the black, although please God, let it be in the black. But more importantly, that we meet our budget, because I'd like to spend $167,000. There's no fluff there. That $167,000, that's assuming the septic tank doesn't blow up, the roof doesn't collapse, the driveway, all that stuff. It's a tight budget, but very doable for us. What are we measuring and tracking? Individuals in auto giving, total funds to cover operational expenses, and we're also measuring and tracking individuals meeting or exceeding the spiritual cooperative. What does it look like for us? Lord, won't you buy me? This isn't what I submitted. This is last year's. I'm not happy. Okay, well, I wrote it down. That must have been why I did it. All right. This is some other year. Maybe it's here. Oh. Thank you. Thank you very much. I was like, okay. So our ownership partner goal is moving the needle. We're at, individuals in auto giving, 62% of those that give. We're at 62%. It's up by 6% from last year. Moving the needle. Total funds to cover operational expenses was 95%. It's that extra 5% that allowed us to be in the wonderful red last year. 5%. And of course, if the septic tank or all these things, the 2 hurricanes hadn't hit, but they did. But we are up 8% from 2022. So we're moving it. And then the last one is individuals meeting or exceeding our spiritual cooperative. We're at 62%. and that's 6% also from 2022. So we're moving in the right direction for us to become 100% automatic giving funded. So to wrap this up, things everyone can consider. Let's move the needle. So if we attempt to move the needle, consider meeting or exceeding the 2023 116 a month benchmark if you are able. If you are not able to meet the 116 benchmark, give us what you can and make it automatic. Be comfortable with that. And we teach prosperity principles. That could all change for you, in which case you can then change your spiritual cooperative. Make your contribution automatic via the Tidely app or your bank's bill pay. We invite everyone to become owner partners in our spiritual cooperative by considering what you can do to help us with our goal of 100% funding of our operating center. Thank you very much, guys. Raise of hands of who is our guest with us this week. I know I see a couple people, new faces. Yep, there's a couple there. Hello. Awesome. We have a prayer for you. Please let your heart sink this prayer in as we freely give to you. We bless you. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ as you. And so it is. Amen. Yeah. And now let us join together in our peace song and our prayer for protection.
Have a great week, everyone.